Hi, I'm Zach.
I'm Kaylee.
And we're the Newlyweds. And we're going to start a weekly movie reviewing series here on YouTube. We just went and saw The Lone Ranger actually and got back. And I thought it would be a good idea to do kind of a catch-up of our top 10 best and top 10 worst lists this year so far in movies. Just to kind of update you on our thoughts on a couple of them. The Lone Ranger was my 34th movie this year, her 32nd, so we've already been to quite a few. But yeah, that's just to catch you up. Do you want to start with best or worst?
I think we'll start with worst.
Worst? Okay. Well, my number 10 on the worst movies list this year is The Great Gatsby. And it's not because I really thought it was terrible, it's just not good. Of the movies I've seen this year, there's just not a lot to it. It's very much style over substance, and I don't know, I just thought it was kind of just whatever, you know? Like, you walk out of the theater going, well, that was 2 hours.
That happened.
But yeah, I don't think it was terrible or anything. I've seen much worse this year, but just as things go, it just so happens to be on the list right now. What's your 10th?
My 10th is Parker.
Parker. You gotta say it like that. Parker.
And not for, just because it's an action movie, even though I'm not typically a huge action movie fan. But it was just, it was lacking, in my opinion. I mean, I know you thought it was great.
I thought it was okay.
But I wasn't that impressed by it.
I wouldn't say I thought it was great. I had a big problem with the ADR when people talked and then whatever they were going to say came out. That really bugged me. And then the one scene of terrible CGI of the knife coming through the hand.
Oh gosh, yeah. They could have left that out and it'd been great.
And in the next shot, he has a fake, like, plastic knife out of his hand. It looks so much better. Like, how much money...
And the CGI blood. Like,
yeah, I hate CGI blood.
Yeah.
That instantly just kills any feeling for me. I think Jennifer Lawrence did a good job. Or Jennifer Lawrence. I thought Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez did a good job in that movie, I think. I liked her. It's good that she's back in movies again because I think she's underrated as an actress, but this just... It didn't have all the parts and pieces together, I agree. My number 9 was Ginger and Rosa, which is a Sally Potter movie with Elle Fanning, who I thought did a really good performance in it. Just overall, though, as a movie, it drags and it just doesn't... It brings intensity, but when you get to thinking about what the whole movie's about, it doesn't connect, and it suffers from sucker punch syndrome, which is we're going to build this giant arc, but at the center of it is going to be just a sad girl.
Yeah.
You know? Like, and there's no great big reveal.
Right.
It keeps building.
Build up with no payoff.
Yeah, and it keeps building up like, oh, you thought this was it? There's something else. I was like, what? Like, is there mom and dad, brother and sister? You don't know. You start and in the end, you're just like, well, duh. Like, that was obvious through the whole entire movie. Okay.
Right. My number 9 was Passion, which was a movie with... What are their names?
Rachel McAdams and Noomi Rapace.
And I love Noomi Rapace, and so does he. She's great, and I didn't like the movie because like they were bad in it. It was just a bad movie, in my opinion. It was like so like mysterious. Like it was like they kept hinting at stuff and they didn't explain anything. Which is okay to, like, you know, leave some stuff up for the imagination, but when you do that with the whole movie, it's pointless to even be a movie.
It gets irritating at times.
Exactly. And it dragged.
It does drag towards the end, and...
It's just...
If you're a Brian De Palma fan, this is the best movie he's made in a long, long time.
It tries to be, like, mysterious and suspenseful, but it just fails.
I think that Noomi's and Rachel's performances actually
were good.
Better than the movie.
Yeah.
I think that if it was 2 other actresses that didn't...
They were great in it. It was just not...
They elevated it, but the script, there wasn't a whole lot to it. And that would have been fine if it would have tried to be like an 80-minute movie, but it was like 100 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was about 20 minutes of just unnecessary stuff.
Yeah.
We're on 8 now. My number 8 is Mama, and I really like the script of Mama. I really like the story, and everything, but what kills it is the reveal. When you see Mama, you just go, and just slop your head back in your seat and tune out for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
It's CGI, it's bad CGI. I love practical effects, and maybe I'm like stuck back in the Stone Ages of filmmaking, but I just think it looks 10,000 times better than CGI bullshit. And it's not like you couldn't have got an actress to dress up in something
and suspend her up.
Yeah, like, you know.
That would have been way better.
That just let it down for me. If it would have been a practical effect movie and it wouldn't have had, if it wouldn't have been so slow in the middle, I would have really, really liked it.
Right.
But, you know.
My number 8 is The Great Gatsby. And it's for the same reasons that it was number 10 on his list.
Yeah.
It's just...
It wasn't bad, it was just...
Wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
Yeah.
So it made it on the worst list so far for this
My number 7 is actually Parker. You might be surprised to know. It could have been so... It's like Sinister to me. Sinister, I don't like Sinister, and it's not because it's a terrible movie, it's because it flirts with greatness so many times.
Yeah, it had.
If the musical cues would have been out of Sinister and they would have left it silent for all those creepy ass scenes, it would have just pumped it so high up. It might have made my top 10 best list last year, but the music tells you how to feel constantly, and I hate that. Like, it's okay for music to set tone,
right.
but when the music has to set all of the emotion, it's like, well, they're not earning it.
Right.
You know, and I had the same. Parker it has all the elements of being a great, top-notch action movie, and it's like nobody bothered to mess with it in the editing room. You know, I feel really bad for Statham and Michael Chiklis and Jennifer Lopez because they all really put their hearts into it, but yeah.
My number 7 is A Good Day to Die Hard.
Jack.
And
Jack. Jack!
I left that movie feeling like I just died hard.
I felt so bad because she's not an action movie kind of girl, but you were okay with The Last Stand.
I wouldn't say like I hate all action movies.
No, it's just not your typical genre.
It takes a lot for an action movie to impress me.
We watched the Die Hard. I introduced her to the Die Hard specifically for Die Hard 5. I was all excited. And it was a big steaming pile. That movie screams studio interference just out the ass. Skip doesn't know how to write a script. It was awful. What they did was they tried to put 2 different movies into one because he goes to Russia and goes into Moscow because his son is being arrested and put on trial. Yet the whole rest of the movie goes, I'm on vacation. I'm supposed to be on vacation. No, you're not on vacation.
You're in Moscow.
You came here because your son was in trouble.
Right. And
Bruce Willis's dialogue for the whole movie, Jack! 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 He says Jack so many times.
That'd be a great drinking game.
You'd be dead. You would die before the movie ended, but I completely agree with you on that one. My number 6, sadly, is A Glimpse Inside the Mind of Charles Swan III.
Wow!
I'm a big Wes Anderson guy.
I can't believe it.
And I love Roman Coppola, and I really like the script, and it was great to see Charlie Sheen in front of the camera lens again, and I thought he did a really good job acting. And the movie wants to be really unique, and it sets up this Wes Anderson-like atmosphere, but it doesn't have all the elements.
In my opinion, a good actor is not someone who plays himself in front of a camera.
Well,
if that was the case, I could totally be a phenomenal actress if I just played a character who happened just to be myself.
I've seen Charlie Sheen, Platoon, and Wall Street. And
I'm not saying he's not a good actor.
Hot Shots.
I'm saying in that movie he's not a good actor.
I've seen him do great things, and it was painful to watch him fall off the end of the world a few years ago. And for me, it was great to see him back in front of the camera and to know he can still act.
Right.
Even if the script wasn't that eloquent. I was so excited that he could actually keep acting, and he's going to be in Machete Kills as the president. I mean, I just think it's great that he can still do it, you know. But yeah, the cinematography. They had so many cool shots that they could have had, and they just didn't have it. It's like having a Wes Anderson movie and having a set, but with someone without the imaginative capabilities.
Yeah.
And I really like Roman Coppola's writing. I hate to say that, but it just fell flat.
Yeah, I mean, cinematography is not one of the things I would nitpick in that film. It would be, I don't know, the script, Charlie Sheen playing Charlie Sheen, just the whole movie, Anyway. The number 6 on my list was The Hangover Part 3, which is a disgrace.
Fuck that movie.
I don't know about anybody else, but
fuck you, Todd Phillips. Fuck you.
I get annoyed with senseless animal violence. Like, I mean, just like, you know, maybe like the rooster scene, you know, that maybe would have been okay. The dogs, the monkey, the giraffe, every animal that's in the movie dies.
It's the easiest way to explain it.
Pointless.
A lot of people, most of you I'm sure have seen I Am Legend. Great movie. And in the movie, at one point in time, Will Smith has to kill his dog. You know, it's turning against him. That doesn't bother me at all. You know, if the animal dies in the movie, fine, as long as the animal isn't hurt in real life. And the first couple times it happened in The Hangover Part 3, I kind of let it slide as them just trying to force jokes. Bradley Cooper, Ed Helms, nobody wanted to be on that set but Zach Galifianakis. Zach Galifianakis did an alright performance. What they do to his character is shit. The script is shit. But you could tell everybody else is there because they feel like they're either contractually obligated or that they feel like they owe it to their friends.
They're emotionally obligated.
But you could just see it. Bradley Cooper's eyes are just lifeless.
Yeah,
I mean, he doesn't want to be there at all. But there's a scene in, spoilers, it's a piece of fucking shit. But spoilers for Hangover 3. There's a scene where you see they're raiding somebody's house, okay? They're going through somebody's house. And you see Chow being goofy-ass Chow, and I fucking hate his ass. The whole movie I was just hoping he would die. But anyway, but he's out running these dogs, right, or whatever, and he runs out of the scene. Now, this is after 3 or 4 animals have already died senselessly. And later on in the movie, John Goodman's like saying, "How did you let Chow get out of my house?" And Bradley Cooper's like, "Well, there were guard dogs. How did he get past the guard dogs?" And John Goodman's like, "Oh, you didn't hear? You didn't hear?" Before he left, he snapped both of their guard dogs' necks.
And then shot them.
So, yeah, and then shot them. Because a man who's trying to escape from robbing somebody's house is, instead of running away from guard dogs like he could have easily, is going to stop and snap their necks and then shoot them. Fuck you. Really?
Yeah.
And then it makes later on in the movie, the death nail for this movie was when they go to Tijuana, wherever, I didn't give a fuck by that point. They go somewhere in Mexico, and they meet up with Chow, and Bradley Cooper is like, "Dude, what the hell? Like, you killed those dogs, what's wrong with you?" And Chow looks at the screen, breaking all sorts of fourth wall, like we're supposed to be Bradley Cooper, and goes, "Oh, what do you mean? Why do you care? What are you, some kind of PETA pussy? It's just an animal. What the fuck's wrong with you? It's funny." And I'm like, I fucking hate you, Todd Phillips. I hope that a dog mauls you, mauls your asshole. Like, all of it.
Okay,
well. It's taking the time to stop all wheels of the movie, look at the camera, and say, "Hey, if you're offended by this, you're a pussy. If you're a member of PETA, you're a pussy." I fucking hate that movie. Stupid. And I liked the first one, and I liked the fucking second one. So, you know, I'm not pigging on the Hangover franchise. I loved the shit out of the second one. It was dark. It was different.
One was the best.
First one's my favorite, but I love this. I was on board fully with the second one, but this one can suck my cock.
Yeah.
All right.
Moving on.
Yeah. That brought the profanity out of me. It had been pretty clean up to that point. So, apologies. Whatever. That movie sucked. 5, Die Hard 5, and again, just. Same thing I've already. It's just, if you look at Die Hard 1 and 2 is alright, 3 is here and 4 is here, and 5 is just through the floor in the basement in hell, like deep in the pit. Like it doesn't do anything. I'm sure it made money. I don't know. I'm sure it made a little bit, but And I know that there was going to be a 6th one, like the grand finale, and I'm not looking forward to it now.
No.
It kind of ruined it. And I liked Live Free or Die Hard. I thought that was cool, even though they made it kind of PG-ish.
Yeah.
You know, but it was still Die Hard.
Yeah.
This was a generic action movie, so yeah, I agree with you.
My number 5 was The Lords of Salem, which is a Rob Zombie movie, a new Rob Zombie movie, and I was excited because Rob Zombie makes good movies for the most part. And I was like, you know, this is going to be creepy, it's going to be dark, it's going to be sinister, you know, like, I'm excited. It's got to do with, like, witchcraft and stuff, you know. I was like, this could be really cool. It's really not cool. Like, it's one of those movies where build up the whole movie. You're like, what is going on? What is this big mysterious secret that they're keeping from me? Why won't they tell me? And then at the end, nothing's resolved. You don't find out anything. You're left clueless and frustrated.
It's an 85-minute movie, and the first
and you feel every minute.
The first 45 minutes I really liked. It looked like it was shot for like a $2,000 budget, you know, but they're doing with radio equipment, which, you know, I love that stuff because I was in that field. You know, I like stuff to do with radio and DJing and stuff like that. And they gave her a background. They gave her like her character the power of choice, you know? Mm-hmm. Her character was the only three-dimensional character in the movie, though. Yeah. She was the only one that actually popped and seemed like a real... But I was rolling with it, and the
the first part of the movie, you just kind of have to roll with it, because nothing's making sense.
Nothing at all.
So you just kind of have to accept it and wait for it to be explained, but it doesn't get explained. Nothing gets explained.
I was on board until the 50-minute mark, and they start the third act by killing somebody, which the third act is a train wreck. It is one of the biggest train wrecks ever. You leave that going, well, that was pointless.
It's like Rob Zombie had a point, like the first half of the movie, and then he dropped acid and quit working on the movie, and somebody else took over who didn't know what they were doing or what the story was about, so they just ended it.
House of a Thousand Corpses. Devil's Rejects is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love the Halloween remake. I don't like the second one, but it wasn't bad. This was bad. This was really bad. Like, I'm glad I didn't pay like the full-on price, like the $10, $8 price. I would have been pissed.
I'm so glad we illegally downloaded that.
Yeah. Well, we torrent it and watched it.
Whatever.
I mean, it wasn't playing anywhere close to us. Number 4, Texas Chainsaw 3D. And
hey, that is also my number 4.
Really?
High five.
For this one, it wasn't so much the CGI blood. The
CGI effects.
The effects. They had one practical effect that starts good. It's got this, it looks like a torso of a person, and they have the chainsaw cutting into it and shaking, you know, cool, great. But then in the middle of that, they cut to a shot where it stops shaking, and you could tell it's CG.
You could tell it's
not moving.
A plastic body, like a clay body, and they're just going like this.
But it's not moving at all.
Yeah.
And there's no blood coming out anymore.
And how hard was that to be? To just like have like the body wiggling?
Then it cuts back and it looks fine, practical. But the CG doesn't move.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, what the hell was that?
And besides that, like the movie, like the time frame that they're trying to use doesn't work at all.
No.
At all.
If she was a baby in 1974 and this is 2010...
She wouldn't be 20.
She wouldn't be 20. Well, at first it said simply it could be a 90s movie. But then she pulls out a black bear and I'm like, there goes that.
There goes that idea.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to be brain dead and watch this movie, I guess.
Yeah.
You're supposed to take everything with a grain of salt.
The best part of that movie was the opening credits because it was the original movie. And after
that was really cool.
No.
So...
my number 3 is To the Wonder, the lovely Terrence Malick.
Oh, God.
And he knows how to shoot things. He knows how to build. The only thing he doesn't know how to do is dialogue. And he almost does no dialogue. And I understand his style. I get it. And you know what? I like the Thin Red Line. I like that movie. I don't love it, but I like it. And because everything is comprehensive, he doesn't need words to explain the emotions. That's great. He forgot how to do that. The Tree of Life, To the Wonder, forgot how to do it.
I quit watching that movie. Like, what was it, like halfway through?
Halfway through, she just,
I was just like, I'm done. I'm gonna do something else with my life now.
Yeah.
It's a piece of poop.
The 90% of the dialogue is in French. Olga Kurylenko, who does just fine.
Oh, there's like 2 seconds of dialogue in the whole movie, and it's French. So.
And it all boils down to just being a love story, and not even.
And it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like, she's fucking bipolar. He doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, like,
you know, it's,
I don't understand. Even with full dialogue, I don't think it would have made any sense.
Yeah.
You can just hold the thin red line with Jim Caviezel and Woody Harrelson and just kind of hang on to that. And I'm done with Terrence Malick movies. I'm done because his style, he never changes from it, and it's only getting worse. So.
My number 3 was Inside the Mind of Charles One, which is it's a terrible movie. I tend to rate movies on if I would watch them again. It's how I kind of try to like stick with. That's kind of like my rating system. And if I would watch them again, how many times I would watch it again before I would get tired of it.
That's a good system to go by.
And I would never watch Charles Swan again. And I kind of wish I could just like erase it out of my memory, because that's why it's number 3 on my worst list.
Yeah, I just watched your head, and the longer it went, you were just like, oh my god.
I was like, is this over yet?
Can we just
is
go to
it
bed?
over? I was like, I want to go to sleep.
Number 2 for me on the worst is The Lords of Salem. And it gets there just because I was so mad because...
You were expecting...
I was expecting so much, and it's Rob Zombie. At that point in the movie, the last 30 minutes could have been anything, and it would have made sense. Because we haven't had anything explained to us yet. So it could have been as far out as you want to go, man. Right. Far out as you... And he's so creative. He is one of the most creative people working today. And just to see that lack of creativity just... It killed me.
Yep. My number 2 is a movie that literally pissed me off. Like, I was furious after watching this movie. And that is the Evil Dead remake. It was atrocious. It cannot hold anything to the first Evil Dead. And it tried so hard. It really tried, but it was terrible. I was just so mad at this movie. I've never been so mad at a movie before. I was just furious. And I paid to go see this piece of shit. I paid my hard-earned money to go watch this at a movie theater and spend precious moments of my life watching it. And that made me even more mad. It was just...
You won't find this on my worst 10. It's not on my top 10
Which
either.
is a shame. It should be on everybody's worst 10 list.
I enjoyed going back to practical effects. I liked that they just said
It was a joke. It was a joke.
I liked that they said hell with it and just kind of let the blood flow. I mean, this is an R-rated movie that you could tell was meant to be an R the whole way. It wasn't chopped up to be PG. This was, heavy. And I liked that. I went into it knowing it's never going to be Evil Dead 1 or 2. I'm not much on Army of Darkness. It's alright as a comedy, but if you watch Evil Dead 1 and 2 and you watch 3, you're like,
I love 3. 3 is probably my favorite because it's so hilarious.
My favorite is Evil Dead 2 Dead by Dawn. That's my favorite. I love the original, and I like Army of Darkness. It's just, you're expecting a serious,
movie,
heavy duty. And I mean, as a comedy though, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It works great as a comedy.
But this Evil Dead remake was just...
I enjoyed it because, and another thing is, it's going to lead in, apparently, to another movie where Bruce Campbell comes into it, which could be great. I just knew it wasn't going to be the original, and I just tried to have fun with it.
I knew it wasn't going to be the original, but I mean, come on.
If I sat there and picked apart every little thing, there's a lot to pick out.
You don't have to
There's a lot to pick out of it that's bad, and I agree with that. But to me, it was just fun.
Okay.
But I understand. My number 1 is The Hangover Part 3, and I don't even have
to... Who didn't see that?
I don't even have to explain. No, I don't even have to explain it. It is the worst. It's the worst movie I've seen since The Smurfs, and it might be worse than The Smurfs. I'll have to think about it. I mean, because when I get down to the worst list, I start to go by what pisses me off more. Exactly. To the Wonder was probably a more poorly made movie.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But you know what? This can be biased. This is my worst list. Technically speaking, yeah, Hangover was a better technical made movie, hands down. But it just pissed me off so much. if we hadn't been on our honeymoon, I don't know what I would have done. Like, I might have needed to take out my rage.
Yeah, we saw that movie on our honeymoon.
First movie we saw after we got married.
Yeah, well, the first movie we saw as a couple was Buried, so we obviously had
I can't stand Ryan
to do watch another horrible movie on another movie.
But after that we saw Tracked into Darkness, which was awesome.
Which was very awesome.
And I think the fact that we came off of Hangover 3 made that one that
even
much
better. Yeah, so we might be like kind of biased on that.
What's your number one?
My number one is To the Wonder.
The one you couldn't finish.
The one I couldn't finish. There's only been a couple movies that we've seen together that I have not been able to finish.
Oh,
that
very
I just walked
few.
away from.
Very few.
Maybe two.
Even if you sat through Buried.
I sat through Buried.
I mean, you've sat through a lot.
So that's how bad To the Wonder is. If you haven't seen Buried, don't. Because it'll ruin your life. But
you'll
never look at Ryan Reynolds the same.
Oh. I wish somebody else was the main star of R.I.P.D.
If you like to watch Ryan Reynolds, like, be in a tight space screaming, then you'll love Buried.
Buried's great. You'll love Buried.
Yeah. If not, then don't watch it, because that's all it is.
No.
And, yeah, so.
But, yeah, I mean, the only movie I can ever remember not finishing, like, I mean, I'm sure there have been times where on TV I've been watching stuff and I'd leave to go do something, but the only movie I decided to stop watching was Hellraiser 5, and I don't have to explain that. I don't have to explain that to anybody. Hellraiser 1 through 4, best horror series as far as ending ever. Hellraiser 4, I love it. And then 5 is a shot-on video, direct-to-DVD.
Shot-on sheet.
What happened was the studio, Dimension, had scripts that they bought from people that were just regular scripts. Some of them were comedy, some of them were romance. And they added Pinhead in to those scripts, literally, and went with it. Hellraiser 5 Inferno is the one movie that Zach Cavender couldn't sit through.
Into the Wonder is the one movie.
Yeah.
Kaylee Cavender couldn't sit through.
Right. Okay, so that's our top 10 worst list. We'll be making a top 10 best list with some honorable mentions, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Let us know what some of your best worst was. I always
like all time, just like not just this year, but like forever.
I always say film is very subjective, so if you saw these movies and liked them, great. That's great.
I'm glad you had a good time.
I'm not taking that away from you. That's fine. I don't like people that say that you're stupid because you like a certain movie or stupid because you don't. That's stupid.
Right.
Like film is subjective. A movie is meant to be, judged by individual people.
Right.
It's not.
If you like these movies, I'm glad you.
If you liked Hangover 3,
you didn't want to kill yourself.
If you liked Hangover 3, I'm glad for you because you didn't sit there the whole movie contemplating ways to kill yourself. Yeah.
Suicide.
So just no judging here. No judging here. So okay. So thanks for watching, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.